now it's time to pick a recording studio. We've decided that we need to go in a recording studio. So the best thing to do is definitely visit the recording studios that you have an interest in. I wouldn't do it over a website, over the phone. I think you need to go into the studio and talk to the personnel. The number one thing is the human connection. Does that producer, does that studio care about your music? And if so, if you have similar taste in music and stuff like that, I think that would lend to a much better record, that they care about your music and the genres are similar. I think you need to look at the equipment they have. Do you want to record mostly analog? Do you want to record digital? These are important things to know. What kind of musical instruments do they have, and can you use them? That's an important thing. If they have a piano, make sure that you know that you can use it. If you have keyboards, what kind of keyboards do they have? What kind of guitar amps do they have? That's all important stuff. If you want to bring all your own equipment, then you might not need that. Mostly, you need to make sure that the feel of the studio is right for you and the vibe feels right when you walk in. I think you'll know that when you walk in. That's why it's important to actually go there. The other thing is, it depends on how large the band is. Do you need a lot of isolated rooms? Do you need a big cavernous room, or do you want a small, tight room? These will affect the sonic quality of the recording. These are all things that you should think about before going into a studio. But it's worth the time to visit the studios and walk in there and see what it feels like. So when looking for a studio, a lot of people ask, is it analog, is it digital? Most studios are a combination of both. For instance, we have a 24-track tape machine here, which sometimes I use, but most of the time I use Pro Tools HD system. And what that is, it's a digital recording format, and but most of the time getting into Pro Tools, we use vintage analog equipment like this old analog console. So most of the process is analog until you go into Pro Tools, which is a high quality what's called audio analog to digital converter. Okay, that's about as technical as I'll get there. But what happens is, so you do get a combination of analog and digital. But however, some bands would like to record strictly analog, which is also very possible. That's just a little bit cost prohibitive because the cost of tape is expensive. So that versus recording into a computer, you can get a lot more done, and you can do a lot more takes. You have a lot more flexibility. So it's definitely the better route now is to stay in Pro Tools. I mean, some people record. Another thing you can do is record onto tape and then transfer into Pro Tools, which I think a lot of people end up doing that. But it's nice to know that the options are there. So with Pro Tools now, it's an amazing format. It's an amazing thing that producers can accomplish now in a much quicker time than we did in the past on tape. For instance, editing. We used to have to edit the tape machine and the big reels of tape, and we had to cut the actual tape and do, and that took a long time. Nowadays, what took us like hours, we can do in seconds almost. What that does is it allows the band to get more done in a quicker amount of time. So, back in the old days, it used to take a long time to make records, and a lot of this was because we were using analog tape. So now, with the advent of digital recording, there's effects that we can do, there's editing, there's many more multiple takes we can do for the band to get them the take that they want. The artist should know that whether they choose analog or digital, the options are there for either one. Technology has certainly made it possible for us to do recordings in a much quicker time. And it's also, in some ways, helped artists achieve their dreams by getting their ideas recorded, and we can do amazing things with technology. I see it changing, the technology even getting better, but what is more exciting about this time is to see the creativity and what's going to happen with music and songwriting and all that. But the one thing that will never change is the quality of musicianship. Will always be the thing that shines through. When you talk about the great musicians of our time, John Bonham, Jimi Hendrix, Clapton, any amount of technology won't change the fact that these guys were great musicians. And I think that's the thing that's always going to come through, and that technology won't change. I think we'll just be able to enhance this even greater than we have before. What I'm most excited about is what's coming, not what the next Pro Tools thing is. What I'm excited about is what's the next art form, what's the next genre of music, what's the next great song. And that's what excites me, and that's what I look forward to being a part of, is being a part of the next generation of artists in music.